Paris is menaced by the worst flood in 31 years as the rain-swollen Seine River overflows its banks, undermining many bridges and buildings, like the Louvre and the Notre Dame Cathedral. Beneath one of the bridges, a statue serves as a flood gauge. Water waist-high means danger, although still below 1910's all-time high. Premier MENDES-FRANCE tours the suburbs, where the rising river turns streets into raging torrents, 2 to 6 feet deep. Parisians erect catwalks as the waters swirl higher and higher, or hitch lifts piggyback. Railroad stations are flooded, thousands are homeless, and damage runs into the tens of millions of dollars. A portrait of destruction by the rampaging River Seine. The atomic submarine Nautilus cuts through choppy seas in wind-tossed Long Island Sound on her first practice cruise. The $55 million vessel is ready for the payoff test for any new submarine, its first dive. From the air, the foaming weight covers the stern as the Nautilus plows through the sea. Then the diving officer floods the tanks, and there she goes, submerging under atomic power. The periscope cuts a white streak across the surface for an hour before the Nautilus rises from her first history-making dive. Eventually, she will be able to stay underwater indefinitely, revolutionizing warfare at sea. Crooner Frank Sinatra arrives at Mascot, Australia with his daughter Nancy, and the word seems to have gotten around. Frankie takes it all very quietly, but not 10,000 fans, frazzled, frantic, and female. Some have waited 6 hours for a glimpse of the voice. 10,000 arms wave a greeting, and Frankie, well, he waves too. High in the Austrian Alps, American GIs learn some new tricks for the long-suffering feet of the foot soldier. Boarding a cable car at the famous winter resort of Saalfelden, the doughboys are carried up amid breathtaking scenery. And in the lofty peaks, they get their first lessons in skiing. Expert instructors are on hand to teach the novices how to stay up and keep moving. It's a 6-week course, by the end of which the GIs know the Gelundesprung, the Sitzmark, the Telemark, and maybe even how to yodel. Naturally, when the final examination rolls around, every man is an expert, or, almost.
The moving men are having trouble convincing the reluctant residents of Chambord Forest in France that moving day is here. Scores of young deer are being rounded up to restock the animal population in other areas. The surprised and frightened deer find the trip starts like this. Later, carts are used. Of course, the neighbors are out to see the newcomers move in. They don't waste any time about it either. Confused by the trip, some can tell the people from the trees. Others rise above life's little obstacles. No time for introductions. For the deer, it's terrifying, but there's nothing to harm it. Merely curious humans watching moving day in the forest.
Records go tumbling in the Star Games at Washington's National Guard Armory. Leaping almost 6 feet 8 inches to smash the high jump standard is Chuck Holding, a towering Texan. The 100-yard dash is a runaway for Art Bragg, former Morgan State College Flash. Leading from start to wire, a scorching new sprint mark for mercury-footed Art Bragg. The Reverend Bob Old Reliable Richards sails 15 feet 4 inches to another meet record in the pole vault. It's the 61st leap of 15 feet or more for the vaulting vicar, Reverend Bob Richards. Thrill of the night is the 1-mile run with a fleet field entered. The heavy favorite is the American champion, Wes Santee, here bolting into the lead with Denmark's Gunnar Nielsen hot on his heels. It's still Santee and Nielsen 1-2 in the final lap, but then the Dane explodes his finishing kick, flashing into the lead and pulling away. Down the home stretch, it's Nielsen blazing home the winner, a sensational upset victory for the durable Dane Gunnar Nielsen. Drivers hit the road in Glasgow, Scotland, bound for the annual mammoth Monte Carlo car rally. Other drivers in other countries, Norway, Sweden, Belgium, Germany, and France, start from Monte Carlo too, in one of the continent's oddest yet most popular winter sports events. Snow and ice make the going tough on the 600-mile leg to Dover for the ferry to France. Miss the ferry and the drivers miss the rally. The snowy going and heavy drifts are just too much for some of the 96 Scottish drivers. Even the sheep scatter for shelter in the storm. But roaring through the night, 87 cars reached Dover. Next stop, France. Then on to Monte Carlo. Crack bobsledders from Europe and the United States start down the 1936 Olympic run at Garmisch-Partenkirchen. Danger rides high at every curve as the daredevil drivers and their crews careen down the ice-slicked serpentine chute. Iron men with nerves of steel, defying death on a dizzy dash to nowhere.